Hello, my friends. Today, I just want to start by sending you all a wish that everything coming into your life will be full of luck, full of ease, full of flow. And if you take a quick look back up at the title of this episode, well, that's exactly what today's theme is about. This is a story for those of you who wish for a life that feels lucky, where things go smoothly. And honestly, the mission of this episode is simple. I just want to tell you a story. That's it. That's the heart of it, the most important thing today. Of course, behind this story, there are layers of meaning. There are little things that might come back to you when you're lying down for a nap in the afternoon, half asleep, and suddenly you remember, oh, there's something in there to think about. Or maybe one night you're lying awake, restless, and the thought pops up again. Careful, you might end up staying awake all night. Because I've been there too. Sometimes we bump into a topic or a problem that feels so relevant to our life, and we can't stop turning it over in our minds. Now, I don't encourage anyone to lose sleep, of course, but every now and then, when we deeply reflect on something that could make our life better, that's actually a beautiful thing, right? Sometimes one sleepless night in exchange for a whole stretch of days where you feel more at peace, more grounded, I'd say that's worth it. So remember the theme today. And this is a story for people who want luck and who want things to go smoothly. Now, let's get into it. Who's the main character in this story? Well, it's me. Who else would it be? And yes, this is a completely true story. The events themselves are simple, everyday things. But from them, I drew out so many insights, so many lessons, so many takeaways for myself. And now, I want to share those lessons with you through this story. Actually, if any of you follow me on Twitter, you might have already seen this story before. About 1.5 to 2 years ago, I went through a period where I was playing a lot of sports. If I say a lot, at the very least it was 2 or 3 times a week. But there were weeks I would call normal weeks, where I played every single day, Monday through Sunday. That's how much I love sports. Honestly, if a week went by where I didn't step on the court, didn't break a sweat, didn't shout out loud, didn't get to show off the techniques I had trained so hard to master, I'd feel so restless, really uncomfortable. You might hear that and think, wow, sounds like his life is pretty fun, pretty joyful. And yeah, it was a joy, a kind of joy that's good for both your body and your mind. That's a sweet deal, right? Nothing to complain about. But here's the thing. The more I played, the deeper I got into it, the more I started to realize life really does have its share of luck and misfortune. And the first thing I had to face was this. My body simply wasn't built for playing sports at that kind of frequency or intensity. The proof? I got injured really easily, especially my legs and knees, the parts you use the most in the sport I was playing. That was exactly where I kept getting pain. For a long time, I thought of this as just plain bad luck, because really, this is all about genetics, right? It's not something I chose. I love playing sports, but my body just doesn't allow me to push myself at the level I want to. And you know this, it's only when you go hard, when you push at full intensity that sports feel exciting and fun. If you're just playing halfway, going through the motions, it's not the same. It's not fun at all. When it comes to sports, you've got to have those sprints, those all-out plays, those moments where you give everything, whether it's a fast break, a killer shot, or just pushing yourself past your limit. That's when it feels alive, when it feels real, when it feels amazing. Right? Nobody goes out there to just half-heartedly poke at the ball. Now, one thing I had going for me was that I had been running for years. And honestly, I never really had much of a problem. Every once in a while, my heel would hurt, but once I fixed my running form, even that went away. So I thought I was good. I thought, hey, I'm solid. I'm not some beginner just jumping in blindly. I've studied. I've prepared. But then once I started playing seriously, I realized something. Those sprints, those sudden bursts of speed, and then stopping out of nowhere, they're way more dangerous than I ever imagined. They caused a lot of injuries, and it created this kind of mental block for me. Every time I recovered from one injury and got back on the court, this thought would creep in. Am I going to get hurt again today? It got to that point, and it really shook me up. So much that I finally decided to step away for 3 or 4 months just to think it through. I sat with it, asking myself, should I keep playing? Because it almost felt like life, like the universe was telling me, maybe I'm not meant for these sports that demand explosive bursts, all-out intensity. But here's the problem. You know how it is. Once you're in the game, once the ball is flying, once your adrenaline kicks in, you get caught up. You go all in. You don't hold back, and that's when the injuries happened. Man, it was frustrating. I didn't know what to do. So yeah, I took those 3 or 4 months off, really asking myself, now what? What's the answer here? I tried to think of all kinds of ways. Could I train differently? Was there a smarter approach? I even asked my personal trainer. And the answer I got was this. Some people are just built that way. Some bodies are more prone to injury. It's like when you watch soccer, you'll notice there are certain players who are just injury prone. I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan, right? I've seen it firsthand for years. Guys like Abu Diaby, Jack Wilshere, and more recently Thomas Partey, they're incredibly talented, but injuries just follow them around. And I understood that concept, but I never thought I'd be one of those people. Turns out I am, and it all comes down to genetics. So, no matter how many strengthening drills I do, no matter how carefully I train, that weak spot in my body is still weaker than the average person's. And it's always going to carry that risk. With sports that involve sudden acceleration, collisions, quick bursts, well, the risk is always going to be there. And when I heard that, my first thought was, why me? Why do I have this kind of bad luck? See, this ties back to the title of this episode. Because while other people might be out drinking, partying, burning themselves out, I chose what I thought was the right path. I wanted to live clean, live healthy. I wanted to chase something good, but instead, it felt like life was holding me back. But here's the thing, I'm stubborn. Really stubborn. When I heard that answer from my trainer, I didn't just stop there. I wanted to find another answer. So I searched. I looked into 3, 4 different options. Some of them seemed great one day, then pointless the next. Others seemed useless at first, then promising, then useless again. Back and forth like that. And eventually I landed on one conclusion. I stopped searching because I found the only answer that made sense, even though it was one of the hardest answers to accept. And that answer was this. I have to accept the truth of my own body. This is how I'm built. I can't change that. Because here's the vicious cycle. If I want to get good, I have to play a lot. But if I play a lot, I get injured. Then I stop to recover. After recovery, I'm rusty and play badly. To fix that, I have to play more. And when I play more, I get injured again. Round and round it goes. That cycle, that really is a vicious circle. At some point, I had to just call it what it is. Fate, maybe. Something I couldn't change. And so the only choice left was to accept it and to adapt. And honestly, that was hard. It was painful. Because when you think and finally realize there's no other way but acceptance, it means facing the truth that some of us just aren't given the same advantages as others. So I told myself, fine, if this is what it is, then I'll accept it and I'll adapt. That's when I sat down and made a list of rules I had to follow whenever I played sports. For example, no sprinting. Don't jump too high and land hard. That's dangerous. Skip the tough plays. Wear protective gear. Listen to my muscles. When I feel the tension building, I stop before it goes too far. Take real rest breaks. Stretch carefully. Warm up well before playing and cool down after. And then nutrition. Things like eating foods rich in omega-3s because omega-3 helps reduce inflammation. I ended up with a long list, honestly. Luckily, I'd already been practicing different kinds of healthy habits for years, so building this into my routine wasn't too hard. Still, when I was resting between games, those moments where laziness can sneak in, I would pull out my phone and review the list, over and over. Dozens of times, hundreds of times. Every session I'd remind myself, until slowly it became second nature. So yeah, sticking to the list wasn't the hardest part. The real challenge was accepting something else. I had to accept that from now on I could only play at about 60 to 70% of my true capacity. And that, my friends, was heartbreaking. Imagine this. You've got the strength to play at 100, but you force yourself to hold back at 60. It's not that you can't go all out, it's that you don't allow yourself to. That was tough. It took me another month or so before I could truly accept that reality. In my head, I told myself, all right, from now on, I'll stick to 65%. Because if I do that, also I get to play consistently, every day, every week. Instead of pushing too hard, hitting 100% for a few days, then breaking down, getting injured, and being forced to stop. So now I'm choosing the long road, not the short one. Once I embraced that, I felt relieved. I finally accepted the game on its own terms. Since then, injuries still happen, but they're minor. They don't last. At most, maybe 2 days of pain and I'm fine. Sometimes I'll go to bed sore, and by morning it's completely gone. And really, that makes sense. If you only play at 65%, how bad can it get, right? But here's the interesting part. Once I understood the bigger picture, once I accepted reality for what it was, my life actually started to feel luckier. Things started to flow more smoothly. At least in this one area, sports, it really felt like the tide had turned. No more major injuries, no more setbacks, and smooth sailing meant this. I still got to go out and enjoy the game. I still got to break a sweat. Sure, I've already told you, I can't ever push myself at 100% again. But in exchange, I still get to have fun. And when you add it all up, it still makes for a wonderful life. So I lowered my expectations. Back then, I wanted to be a star in the sport. I wanted to be the best, to play so well that people would look at me and go, wow. But now, I've let go of that. I've brought my standards down. At the end of the day, joy comes first. Fun comes first. Being able to play, that's number one. Maybe I'll never be top 10 or top 100 or even top 1,000. But if I can be above average, that's enough. If I can be just a little better than average, that's still fun. Because life is so much bigger than just the one skill or one arena we pour ourselves into. It's also about everything that comes with it. Connecting with friends, teammates, that's already value, that's already happiness. Getting to play every day or every week, that's happiness. Playing at a safe pace that keeps my body healthy, that's happiness too. And right now, I see all of that as my luck, my smooth sailing in life. Yes, maybe in the beginning it felt like bad luck. This body, these genetics, this fate. But what I realized is powerful. Sometimes, even in the very area where life has dealt us an unlucky hand, we can still create luck and flow. How? By still doing the thing we love, but accepting the truth and playing within the boundaries of that truth. And if we do that, we still get joy. We still get fulfillment. And yes, we still get luck and smoothness in our lives. Now imagine the opposite. If I hadn't adapted, if I hadn't accepted reality and worked within it, then what would my life be? Nothing but bitterness. Complaints like, why me? Why can that guy play morning and night, recklessly, with bad form and never get injured? Why is he lucky while I'm unlucky? But really, do I want to spend my days, months, years, my whole life, envying the people who have what I don't? That envy itself, that resentment, would actually steal away the luck and ease that could have been mine. So here's the truth, my friends. In this life, we can't control everything. I accept that. Each of us has our own fate. But whether we find happiness within that fate, that depends on us. Some things life just won't give you. Fine. Whatever I've been given, I'll use. And I'll take those ingredients, whether they're scarce, whether they're flawed, and I'll cook them into something that suits me best. Something that makes me smile. Something that makes me happy. And honestly, that's already a wonderful life. That's the message I want to leave with you today. Not everyone is lucky from the start, but if you really want to, you can become lucky along the way. And this doesn't just apply to sports, it's the same in business, in school, in any intellectual field. I hear this a lot from people. They tell me they weren't born smart enough. They don't have the qualities it takes to shine in mental work. They say they're forgetful, they can't focus deeply. They read books and the words just scatter all over the page. Some people even tell me, I think I might have astigmatism or something because the lines blur together when I read. Maybe that's true, maybe not, but let's just call it reality. Life didn't hand them those advantages. Meanwhile, there are others out there who are so lucky they can read something once and remember thousands of words. And I'm not even talking about people who've trained for years. I've seen little kids 8 or 9 years old with that kind of natural retention. That's talent. That's raw intelligence. That's a gift. And when we see people like that, all we can really do is congratulate them. Life gave them that blessing. Life didn't give it to me, but that's okay. Because what matters most is this. If I truly want joy in the intellectual, academic, or creative part of life, then I'll work with the ingredients I was given. Even if they're fewer, even if they're harder to work with, I'll still do my best with what I've got. So we just find a way, my friends. For example, if when you're reading, the words seem to dance around or shift on the page, you can use a pencil, a pen, even a ruler. Place it under the line you're reading and just follow along horizontally. At first it might feel awkward, but over time your eyes adjust. That moving letters problem? You can work around it. Or maybe someone says, my memory is weak. Okay, so what? Life didn't give you a photographic memory, but it gave you tools. And honestly, the greatest tools we have are so simple. Paper, pen, and note-taking apps. If you don't remember something, write it down. Then pull out your notes when you have a free moment and review. Sure, maybe the first time you still forget, but after 10 times, you'll remember. After 100 times, you'll remember deeply. After 1,000 times, forgetting becomes almost impossible, see? We just find ways. We accept life's rules, we accept our unlucky hand, and then we learn how to work around it. And at the end of the day, we can still enjoy, we can still succeed, just like anyone else. Now let's say you're reading or studying something and your problem isn't memory, but focus. And instead of blaming distractions, social media, or whatever, you decide, no, I'll just accept that maybe focus isn't my natural strength. Fine. Then what's the way forward? Here's a simple method I've shared before. After you read a short passage, say 5 to 10 lines, stop and ask yourself, what did I just read? Force yourself to summarize it. Reflect on it. When you do this, your brain can't wander. You can't daydream, you can't drift off, because you're holding yourself accountable to recall and re-express what you just took in. Do this for a few weeks, a few months, a few years, and I promise you, your focus might even surpass those who were born with natural concentration. Isn't that incredible? The truth is, every single person is born with certain shortcomings. No one has it all. Some are gifted here, some are gifted there. I've never met anyone who's perfect in every area. But the problem is, we often look only at the people who are gifted in the areas where we're weak. And then what? We envy, we complain, we feel sorry for ourselves. And if we keep doing that, where will our life go? Nowhere. The future will look darker and darker. With that mindset, you'll never feel lucky. You'll never feel that life is smooth or working in your favor. So honestly, the principle of living well and rising higher in life is actually quite simple. Number 1, don't live in illusions about your circumstances. Know yourself. Take a good, honest look. What exactly did life or nature or fate give me? To what degree, to what extent, and then accept that truth. For example, if someone says, I must be a singer, but their voice is, well, terrible, then why waste years on vocal training? Be realistic. Accept, okay, my voice probably won't make me a singer. But let me be clear, I'm not saying that means you give up. No. I don't like the word give up. What I prefer is a shift in the question. Instead of why can't I, ask, okay, if I can't be a singer, what else can I do? And the truth is, there are so many paths connected to the same dream. You could become a sound engineer, a show producer, an event organizer, a talent manager, a marketing agent for artists, or maybe a music producer. You could play classical instruments, piano, guitar, or dive into electronic music creating beats. And look at today's world. Alongside singers and rappers, producers themselves are rising as stars, with names that stand on their own. Many are just as famous, just as influential as the artists they collaborate with. You listen to music, right? You've seen names like Metro Boomin, Tiny, Dr. Luke, Red One, Timbaland, Mark Ronson. Huge names, super famous. Now, can these guys actually sing? Some of them, not really. But it doesn't matter, they chose a different path. Life didn't give them the first gift they wanted, and they accepted that truth. They found another way. And guess what? Their lives still turned out lucky, still turned out smooth. That's exactly the message I want to leave with you. I know many of you were not born rich, not born beautiful, but don't get discouraged. Don't sink into self-pity over those things. Instead, just see them as facts. Accept them. Look around. There are plenty of people in showbiz, both in our country and globally, who are not beautiful at all. Some aren't tall, some aren't good-looking, and yet they're still at the top. They're still stars. Their faces aren't handsome, their figures aren't elegant, and yet they shine. Honestly, in my own mind, I can instantly think of 9 or 10 celebrities who are not conventionally attractive, yet massively successful and wealthy. I won't name names because it might sound negative, and that's not my style. But the point is, these examples are everywhere. Plenty of people who aren't beautiful have still achieved stunning success, even in industries that revolve around beauty. Why? Because they simply accepted, okay, I'm not good looking, but I still love this field, so how else can I do it? Some became comedians, some became producers, some doubled down on their voice, trained it, made it so unique that their music still caught fire, even if their looks didn't fit the mold. There are countless ways forward. And what about those born poor? No money at all, but still dreaming of running a business? Same thing, there are always paths. Let's say you want to open a restaurant, but you're broke. Fine. Accept it. I'm broke. I have no money. Then start where you can. Work in a restaurant. Wash dishes for 2 years. Then spend 3 years learning to cook. After that, spend 2 more years to become a head chef. Then 2 years studying business, operations, management, F&B. Next, 2 years as a manager at a small restaurant. Then another 2 years climbing up to manage a big restaurant. And finally, 2 years later, open your own. If someone starts this journey at 16 or 17, by their early 30s, they're already living their dream. That's still young. And let's be real. How many 35-year-olds today have no career, no clear direction at all? See my point? So yeah, lack of money is not the problem. There are always ways. The key is to accept reality. Stop complaining. The day you stop complaining is the day solutions start to appear. Because the more you waste energy on blaming your bad luck, the less energy you have for creating your path. But once you accept reality, you'll feel lighter. And from that place of acceptance, you'll find a way. And everything will eventually fall into place. That's really the heart of my message today. I wish all of you the luck you hope for. And even more than that, I wish for your life to feel smooth, no matter what hand you were dealt. And hey, if you found this episode valuable, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks so much for listening.